Use the back entrance. I have a scheduled meeting. You don't belong up here.
Stop! She's the city director! Ma'am, I'm so sorry. Please come with me.
What is that smell? The words cut across the marble lobby before Vanessa Carter even reached the place. Ashley Monroe looked up from behind the polished counter with a smile that was not a smile at all. It was thin, cold, already decided. Vanessa stopped 3 steps inside the Summit Ridge Tower. Her charcoal coat was buttoned neatly. A navy folder rested under her arm. Her hair was pulled back, simple and clean. Nothing about her was loud. Nothing about her asked for attention. But Ashley looked at her like she had dragged mud across the floor. "Mom," Vanessa said, calm, "I have a 9:30 meeting with Mr. Reed." Ashley leaned back in her chair. She did not check the screen. She did not reach for the phone. She looked Vanessa up and down, slowly, from her shoes to her face. "No, you don't." The lobby went still in that quiet way public places do when people hear something ugly but hope someone else will handle it. A courier near the revolving doors lowered his phone. An intern in a gray blazer slowed with a stack of papers in her arms. A man waiting by the elevators suddenly found the floor very interesting. Vanessa kept her voice even. "My name should be on the calendar. Vanessa Carter." Ashley gave a small laugh through her nose. "Honey, I am the calendar." She tapped one red fingernail against the desk, and I would remember a client. The word client landed hard. Vanessa inhaled once. The lobby smelled like lilies, floor polish, and expensive air conditioning. Above them, glass walls climbed 20 stories toward a pale Charlotte morning. Everything in that room was built to impress. The marble, the steel directory, the silent elevators, the kind of place that made people stand straighter just to enter it. Ashley pointed toward the side of the building. "Back entrance is on 5th Street. Deliveries, cleaning staff, whatever you are." Vanessa did not move. "I'm not here for deliveries." Ashley's face tightened. "Then you're lost. I'm here for the infrastructure procurement meeting." That made Ashley smile wider. "With who? The janitor?" A low laugh slipped out from somewhere behind Vanessa. Quick, cowardly, gone as soon as it came. Vanessa's jaw tightened, then released. She had spent more than 20 years learning what it cost to react too soon. She had sat in rooms where men repeated her ideas in louder voices and were praised for them. She had watched people confuse quiet with weakness. She knew the difference between being silent and being small. She was not small, but Ashley did not know that. Ashley saw a black woman in an ordinary coat. No designer bag, no assistant, no visible badge because Vanessa had tucked it inside her collar out of habit. She never liked leading with authority. Respect, she believed, should not require a title first. Ashley picked up the desk phone but did not dial. "Last chance," she said. "Turn around or I call security and have you walked out." The intern's papers trembled slightly. The courier stared at his screen without reading it. Nobody spoke. Vanessa looked past Ashley toward the brushed steel directory on the wall. 3rd line from the top. Carter Civic LLC, Suite 1840. Vanessa's fingers tightened around the Navy folder. That name should not have been there. That company should not have existed. And in less than 10 minutes, Jonathan Reed, the chief executive of Summit Ridge, would come down those elevators almost running, asking one question in a voice that would drain the color from Ashley Monroe's face. "Where is Vanessa Carter?" But for now, Vanessa only stepped back. Once. Then again. She stood just outside the revolving door in the thin morning light, with the folder under her arm and the truth waiting quietly inside it. 90 minutes earlier, Vanessa Carter stood barefoot in her kitchen, staring at a cup of coffee she already knew she would forget. The light over the sink flickered once. Outside, a sprinkler ticked against a neighbor's driveway. The house was small, clean, and full of the soft morning sounds people only notice when they are tired. A toaster clicked. A school zipper caught. A child sighed like the whole world had asked too much before breakfast. Mom Emily called from the hallway. "Permission slip." Vanessa turned. Her daughter stood there with one shoe tied, the other lace dragging, a wrinkled sheet of paper in her hand. Emily was 12, all elbows and questions, with her hair pulled into a crooked ponytail she had insisted on doing herself. On the fridge, Vanessa said. Emily looked. The form was held under a faded magnet from the state fair. You signed it? Last night. Emily grabbed it and smiled. You're the best. I know. Vanessa kissed the top of her head. Emily pretended to hate it, but she leaned into it for half a second. Vanessa felt that half second. She stored it somewhere safe. By 7:40, she dropped Emily at the carpool corner. She did not wave too long. Emily had rules about that now. 1 short wave was love. 2 was embarrassing. 3 was social disaster. Vanessa watched her daughter disappear into a cluster of backpacks and bright sneakers. Then she drove downtown with the radio low and her mind already inside the folder waiting on her desk. By 8:15, she was in her office on the 3rd floor of the Charlotte Municipal Building, West Wing. The nameplate on her door read Vanessa Carter, Director of Infrastructure Procurement. Below that, in smaller letters, Office of the City Manager. She walked past it without looking. Titles had never impressed her. Work did. Records did. Clean process did. And that morning, all 3 sat inside a navy folder placed squarely on the edge of her desk. Water infrastructure package. Final review. $180 million. 6 companies had bid. 5 had failed first-round review. 1 remained. Summit Ridge Consulting. Vanessa sat down, opened the folder, and began again from the back. She always read backward before a final meeting. People hid things in appendices. They hid them in footnotes. They hid them where tired eyes gave up. Her assistant, Marcus Hill, tapped the doorframe twice. Still want the 9:30? Vanessa did not look up. Yes. You want me to call ahead? No, let them follow the process. Marcus nodded, but he stayed there a second longer. He had worked for her for 4 years. He knew when her voice got that quiet, something had caught her attention. You okay? Vanessa turned 1 page. Not yet. He did not ask another question. Good assistants know the difference between concern and interruption. He stepped away. Vanessa's eyes stopped on a line near the bottom of Appendix C, Minority Subcontractor Utilization Report. Carter Civic LLC, 2113 Pemberton Road. Her hand went still. Pemberton Road, that was her old address. A small brick rental where she and Emily had lived after the divorce. A house with a bad water heater, a maple tree in the front yard, and a kitchen floor that dipped near the refrigerator. She had left it 6 years ago. She had never formed Carter Civic LLC. She had never worked as a subcontractor for Summit Ridge. She had never invoiced anyone for engineering services, consulting services, or anything close to it. Vanessa read the line again, then again. The room seemed to narrow around her. The hum of the air vent grew louder. Somewhere down the hall, someone laughed, and the sound felt far away, like it belonged to another building. She flipped to the supporting documents. Federal filing reference, compliance certification, vendor percentage. Her name was not printed there, not exactly, but the company name was close enough. The address was exact, too exact. This was not a typo. A typo does not know where you used to live. Vanessa closed the folder slowly. For a moment, she thought of Emily standing in the hallway with 1 shoe untied. She thought of the way public money was supposed to move. Cleanly, carefully. Toward streets, pipes, neighborhoods, homes, not into shadows. She stood, reached for her charcoal coat, and slipped her city badge around her neck. Then, almost without thinking, she tucked the badge inside her collar. A habit. She did not like walking into private buildings with power showing first. She believed people revealed themselves better when they thought they were dealing with someone ordinary. That morning, Summit Ridge was about to reveal itself completely. Vanessa left the municipal building through the side entrance, the one employees used when they did not want to cross the public lobby. Outside, Tryon Street was waking up in pieces. A city bus sighed at the curb. A man in a Panthers cap argued into his phone about parking. 2 construction workers leaned over a pickup bed, sharing coffee from paper cups. The air had that late autumn chill that made people walk faster without meaning to. Vanessa walked 4 blocks with the navy folder held close to her ribs. She did not call Summit Ridge. She did not call Marcus. She did not call legal. Not yet. A weaker person might have wanted the comfort of someone else's voice. Vanessa wanted the truth clean, uncoached, unprepared. She wanted to see how Summit Ridge handled a public servant they did not recognize as powerful. That was not a game to her. It was data. People showed their policies in manuals, but they showed their culture at the front desk. By the time the Summit Ridge Tower came into view, the clouds had thinned into a pale gray sheet. The building roses out of the block like a verdict. Glass, limestone, steel trim polished, so bright it caught every passing car. Inside, the lobby was colder than the sidewalk. The marble floor threw back the sound of her heels. Click, 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 then silence. The kind of silence money buys. Tall glasses of white lilies sat on the reception counter. Their smell was thick and sweet, almost too clean. Behind the desk, Ashley Monroe looked up. Blonde ponytail, pearl studs, pink nails. A face trained to smile for some people and harden for others. Her eyes moved over Vanessa once. That was all it took. "Can I help you?" Ashley asked. The words were polite. The tone was not. "Good morning," Vanessa said. "Vanessa Carter. I have a 9:30 meeting with Jonathan Reed." Ashley did not touch the keyboard. "Do you?" "Yes." "With Mr. Reed?" "Yes." Ashley leaned back slowly, folding her arms. "And what company are you with?" Vanessa held her gaze. "City of Charlotte." That should have changed the air. It did not. Ashley's mouth twitched. "City of Charlotte what?" Vanessa felt the old, familiar weight settle in the room. The demand to over-explain, to prove, to perform calm while being measured by someone who had already failed the test. Infrastructure procurement. Ashley gave a tiny laugh. "Right." A young man by the elevator glanced over. He was holding a laptop bag and wearing a visitor sticker on his jacket. His eyes met Vanessa's for half a second, then dropped. He knew something was wrong. He chose comfort. Most people did. Vanessa said, "If you check the calendar, you'll see the appointment." Ashley turned the monitor slightly away, though Vanessa could not see it from where she stood anyway. She clicked once, maybe twice, too fast to search anything. No appointment. Vanessa kept her voice low. "Please check under Carter. I said there's no appointment." The courier near the revolving door shifted his weight. The wheels of his hand truck squeaked. No one else moved. Ashley leaned forward now, lowering her voice like she was offering advice. "Listen, I do not know who told you to come here, but this is not a public office. This is a private firm. The partners are not available for walk-ins. I am not a walk-in. You walked in." A short laugh came from the waiting area. Ashley liked that. It fed something in her. Vanessa looked toward the directory behind the desk. Summit Ridge Consulting. Suite 1840. Beneath it smaller. Carter Civic LLC, Suite 1840. There it was again, not buried in an appendix, not hidden in a database, printed on the wall, public. Vanessa's fingers tightened once around the folder. The cold place inside her chest opened wider, but her face did not change. Ashley saw the glance. Her eyes sharpened. "Don't read the board," she snapped. Vanessa looked back at her. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. The directory is for clients." That sentence landed harder than the insults. Because it was not just rudeness. It was procedure. It was practiced. It had a purpose. Vanessa understood then. This lobby was not only judging people, it was screening them. Ashley picked up the phone and held it beside her cheek. "Back entrance is on 5th. You can go now." Vanessa took one slow breath, then she stepped back. Not because Ashley had won. Because Vanessa had just learned exactly where to start. Vanessa stopped at the edge of the revolving door, where the lobby ended and the sidewalk began. Behind her, Ashley Monroe lowered the phone and smirked like she had won a small war. She picked up her personal cell and started typing with both thumbs. Her shoulders relaxed. Her face softened into the smug little expression of someone telling a story she had already made herself the hero of. "Another one trying to sneak in," she wrote. Then she added a laughing face she would later wish she had never sent. Vanessa did not look back. She stood in the morning light with traffic moving behind her, and the navy folder pressed beneath one arm. People passed on the sidewalk. A woman in running shoes carried a paper coffee cup. A delivery driver rolled a stack of boxes toward the service entrance. A man in a gray suit hurried by, glanced at Vanessa, then looked away. Everyone was going somewhere. Vanessa waited. That was one of her gifts. Not the kind people praise in leadership seminars. The quiet kind. The hard kind. The kind that looks like doing nothing, when in truth every part of you is working. She reviewed what she had seen. Carter Civic LLC on the bid report. Carter Civic LLC on the lobby directory. Same suites as Summit Ridge. A receptionist trained to stop certain people from reading the board. Not a mistake, a system. Inside, the elevator chimed once. Ashley did not notice. She was still typing. On the top floor, Jonathan Reed had just stepped out of the executive conference room and looked down at his watch. He was 58, silver at the temples, lean from the kind of exercise rich men do before sunrise. He had spent the morning rehearsing reassurance, calm smile, open hands, no defensiveness. Tell the city director what she needed to hear. Get the signature. Keep the water package alive. But the conference table was empty on one side. No Vanessa Carter. His assistant, Nina Patel, stood near the door with a tablet in one hand and worry in her eyes. She should have been here by now, Nina said. Jonathan looked at the time again. Call the front desk. I did, and no answer. His mouth tightened. Call logs mattered in corporate offices. So did silence. A front desk that did not answer during a scheduled executive arrival was not a small problem. It was a symptom. Nina tried again. The call rang into the lobby. Ashley's desk phone lit up. She glanced at it, then ignored it. She was finishing her message. Jonathan watched Nina's face change. What? They're not picking up. He turned toward the elevator before she finished the sentence. Come on. Nina followed, half walking, half jogging, headset still clipped to one ear. She knew that look. Jonathan Reed was not a man who ran. He delegated urgency. He did not display it. Not unless something expensive was about to break. The elevator dropped. 18 floors. 17. 16. Jonathan said nothing, but his jaw moved slightly, the way it did when he was counting possible losses. The bid, the audit, the compliance review, the public meeting next week. And beneath all that, the thing he did not say even to himself. Mary Ann Whitmore was hiding something. He had felt it for months. In the rushed certifications. In the missing backup documents. In the way she smiled too quickly when Carter Civic came up in passing. The elevator doors opened. Ashley finally looked up. She saw Jonathan first, then Nina, then the look on his face. Her smile faltered. Mr. Reed. Hi, I was just about to call upstairs. Where is she? Ashley blinked. Who? Jonathan stepped closer to the desk. His voice stayed low, which made it worse. Vanessa Carter, the 9:30. Ashley's eyes flicked once toward the revolving door, just once. But Vanessa, outside, saw the movement reflected in the glass. So did Jonathan. Ashley swallowed. Oh. Her. She didn't have an appointment. The lobby changed shape. The courier stopped pretending to check his phone. The intern with the printouts froze near the elevator bank. The man with the visitor sticker lifted his head for the first time. Jonathan stared at Ashley. You checked? Ashley's throat worked. I mean, she said she had one, but she looked like she was probably here for deliveries, and she kept reading the directory, so I thought stop. One word. No volume. No mercy. Ashley stopped. Jonathan turned toward the revolving door and saw Vanessa standing outside, still, composed, the city badge barely visible inside her collar. His face drained, not all at once. Slowly, like a door opening onto a room he had prayed was empty. Then he moved. Fast. Jonathan Reed pushed through the revolving door so quickly it caught his shoulder and forced him sideways. For one awkward second, the man who owned most of the room stumbled like anyone else. The courier saw it. The intern saw it. Ashley saw it too, and her face went blank with fear. Miss Carter, Jonathan said, breath tight. Please, I am so sorry. Vanessa turned toward him slowly. She did not smile. Mr. Reed. He held the glass door open with his own hand, though there were people paid to do exactly that. His assistant, Nina, stood a few steps behind him, clutching her tablet to her chest like it had become a shield. There has been a misunderstanding, Jonathan said. Vanessa looked past him into the lobby. Ashley was standing now, too late. Her hands were flat on the desk, fingers spread, as if she needed the marble to hold her upright. Your receptionist was very clear, Vanessa said. Jonathan's face tightened. She was wrong. Vanessa let that sit between them, not because she wanted him to suffer. because some sentences need silence around them before they can be heard. Inside the lobby, nobody pretended anymore. The man with the visitor sticker had stepped away from the elevator. The intern still held the printouts against her chest. The courier's phone hung at his side, screen dark. Even the security guard near the far wall had shifted forward, suddenly alert. Jonathan lowered his voice. "Please come in. The partners are waiting upstairs." Vanessa stepped through the doorway. Jonathan walked one pace behind her. That detail moved through the lobby like a cold wind. People noticed. They knew what it meant. A powerful man was not leading her. He was making room for her. Ashley opened her mouth. "Mr. Reed, I can explain." "Don't." One word. Ashley shut her mouth. Vanessa stopped in the center of the lobby. The lilies on the counter seemed too white, too perfect, too untouched by the ugliness that had just happened beside them. She turned, not toward Jonathan, but toward Ashley. "I would like to understand something." Ashley swallowed. "Mom, I really think there was confusion." "No," Vanessa said. There was no confusion. The room held its breath. Vanessa's voice stayed low. That made it worse for Ashley. It gave her nowhere to hide. "When I walked in, you told me to use the back entrance." Ashley's eyes flicked toward Jonathan. Vanessa continued. "You said deliveries, cleaning staff, whatever you are." Nina's jaw tightened. The intern looked down at the papers in her hands, shame rising in her face, though she had said nothing. "Silence can leave fingerprints, too," Ashley whispered. "I didn't mean it like that." "You told me not to read the directory." Ashley froze. Jonathan's eyes moved, slowly, from Vanessa to Ashley, to the brushed steel board behind the desk. Vanessa saw the moment land. His pupils shifted, his mouth pressed thin. A man doing math in public and realizing the answer was worse than he expected. "Why?" Vanessa asked. Ashley blinked fast. "It's just protocol." "Whose protocol?" No answer. Vanessa stepped closer by half a pace. Not enough to threaten. Enough to make truth feel near. "Who trained you to stop visitors from reading that board?" Ashley's lips parted. Her eyes moved for the smallest fraction of a second toward the elevator bank, toward the upper floors, toward someone not in the lobby. Vanessa saw it. Jonathan saw Vanessa see it. And Nina, who had worked too long around powerful people to miss small betrayals, saw both of them see it. Jonathan turned sharply. "Ashley." Her name cracked across the lobby. Ashley's eyes filled, not with remorse yet, but with fear. There is a difference. Remorse looks outward. Fear looks for exits. "I was told to manage walk-ins," she said. "That's all." "By whom?" Vanessa asked. Ashley's voice came out small. "I don't remember." Vanessa held her gaze. "Yes, you do." The lobby was silent now. No elevator chime. No shoes on marble. No phone. Even the air conditioning seemed to pause. Jonathan stepped slightly between them, smooth and careful. "Miss Carter, we can address personnel issues internally." Vanessa looked at him then. For the first time since she came back inside, he had her full attention. "This is not a personnel issue, Mr. Reed." His face changed. She lifted the navy folder just enough for him to see the label. "This is a procurement issue." The words entered the room like a subpoena. Jonathan did not speak. Vanessa turned toward the elevators. "Now," she said, "we can go upstairs." The elevator ride to the 18th floor felt longer than it was. Vanessa stood in the center, still holding the navy folder. Jonathan stood beside her, but not too close. Nina stood behind them with her tablet pressed to her ribs. No one spoke. The elevator hummed upward. 7, 8, 9. Jonathan kept his eyes on the doors. He wanted to apologize again. He wanted to explain Ashley away as one bad employee, one poor judgment call, one terrible moment. But he knew Vanessa had already seen too much for that. People like Ashley did not invent rules from nothing. They borrowed permission. On the 18th floor, the doors opened to quiet carpet, frosted glass, and the smell of fresh coffee. A long hallway led to a conference room with walnut walls and a view of downtown Charlotte. 3 people were already standing near the table. Mary Ann Whitmore, 62, senior partner, pearl gray suit, silver haircut just below the chin. Her smile looked expensive and practiced. Beside her stood Paul Jennings, a younger partner with nervous hands and a tie too bright for the room. A compliance director named Elaine Foster hovered near the Quatregenza, pretending to adjust bottled water. Miss Carter, Marianne said warmly. We are so pleased you made it. Vanessa placed the folder on the table. She did not sit. I almost didn't. Mary Ann's smile held for 1 second too long. Jonathan closed the door behind them. Nina remained near the wall, headset still on, though she had muted it with a trembling thumb. Mary Ann glanced at Jonathan. I understand there was an issue downstairs. There was, Vanessa said. Well, let me say first, Summit Ridge takes respect very seriously. Vanessa looked at her. Mary Ann stopped. It was not the look of a woman asking for an apology. It was the look of a public official deciding whether a room deserved the truth before the record began. I would like a stenographer present, Vanessa said. Paul blinked. A stenographer? Yes. Mary Ann tilted her head. Miss Carter, this is an informal final round discussion. No, Vanessa said. This is a final round contact involving a municipal contract. My office requires a record when material compliance questions arise. That was not exactly routine. Everyone in the room knew it, but it was defensible, and defensible was enough. Mary Ann's smile thinned. Of course. She nodded to Elaine, who moved quickly. A call was made. A paralegal arrived within minutes, a woman in a green cardigan carrying a steno pad and a small recorder. She looked confused, but professional. She sat at the far end of the table and began setting up. Vanessa waited. No one offered coffee again. When the recorder light turned red, Vanessa opened the folder. Not to the first page. Not to the proposal summary. Straight to Appendix C, the room noticed. Mary Ann noticed most of all. Before we discuss the water package, Vanessa said, I need clarification on a subcontractor listed in your minority utilization report. Paul reached for his pen. Of course, which one? Carter Civic LLC. The pen stopped. Elaine looked down at the carpet. Jonathan's shoulders tightened. Mary Ann gave a small nod, as if the name meant very little. I believe that was part of our subcontractor compliance bundle. It lists an address, Vanessa said. 2113 Pemberton Road. Mary Ann folded her hands. I would need to check the file. No need. Vanessa turned one page and laid a copy flat on the table. That was my former residence. The room went silent. Paul looked at Mary Ann. Mary Ann did not look back. Vanessa continued, each word clean and level. I have never formed a company called Carter Civic LLC. I have never provided civil engineering services. I have never invoiced Summit Ridge. And I have never authorized the use of my former address in a public bid. Jonathan's face shifted through alarm, calculation, and something like dread. Paul whispered, that could be a clerical error. Vanessa looked at him. A clerical error does not appear on a federal filing. The paralegal's keys clicked softly. That sound became the loudest thing in the room. Vanessa turned to the first page of the folder. I am Vanessa Carter. I am the Director of Infrastructure Procurement for the City of Charlotte. I am the sole signing authority on the municipal water infrastructure package currently before this firm. Mary Ann's smile was gone now. The package was scheduled for final approval this morning, Vanessa said. She closed the folder. It will not be approved this morning. No one moved. I am placing the Summit Ridge bid under administrative hold, effective immediately. My office will open a formal inquiry into Appendix C. We will request visitor logs, badge records, subcontractor verification materials, and all front desk training communications for the past 18 months. Mary Ann leaned forward. Miss Carter, surely the lobby incident should be handled separately. Vanessa looked at her. The lobby incident is not the inquiry. Then she tapped the folder once. The lobby incident is how I found it. Vanessa slid a single-page request across the walnut table. It moved only a few inches, but everyone watched it like it had crossed the room with a siren on. Jonathan reached for it first. Mary Ann's hand moved at the same time, then stopped. That tiny hesitation told Vanessa more than any denial could have. Jonathan read the first lines. Visitor logs, badge records, subcontractor verification, internal communications, training materials, emailed attachment, document metadata. His throat moved once. Friday, Vanessa said. Paul looked up. This Friday? Yes, that is not much time. It is enough time to preserve evidence. The words were plain, legal, heavy. Elaine Foster, the compliance director, finally spoke. Her voice was thin, but steady enough to show she understood the stakes. We will issue a document hold immediately. Marianne turned to her. Elaine. Elaine looked back, and for the first time, fear broke through the polished surface of the room. Not fear of Vanessa. Fear of what she had been told not to notice. We have to, Elaine said quietly. If there is a city inquiry, we have to. Marianne's eyes cooled. Of course. Vanessa watched the exchange. She had seen that kind before. The loyal employee with a conscience still breathing under layers of a policy. People like Elaine often knew where the bodies were buried. They also knew who paid the mortgage. Jonathan put the paper down. Miss Carter, I want to be clear. Summit Ridge will cooperate. Vanessa nodded once. Good. I also want to personally apologize for what happened downstairs. Mary Ann folded her hands tighter. Vanessa picked up the folder. That apology belongs in the record only if it comes with action. Jonathan looked at her. She continued. Respect is not a statement on a website. It is not a poster in a break room. It is what your lowest paid employee feels permitted to do when no executive is watching. No one answered, because everyone in the room knew she was right. For a second, the anger in Vanessa softened into something older, sadder. She thought of every person who had ever turned around at a front desk because humiliation was easier to survive than confrontation. Seniors trying to ask about benefits. Contractors trying to deliver paperwork. Parents trying to advocate for their children. People who did not have a title hidden under their collar. Most of them never got an elevator ride upstairs. That was the part that mattered. Vanessa turned toward the door. Jonathan stepped after her. I'll walk you down. No need. I insist. She paused. Then walk beside me. He understood. His face changed slightly. Shame, if it is honest, can become useful. If it is only embarrassment, it becomes theater. Vanessa could not yet tell which one his was. They walked back through the hallway together. Nina followed behind. At the elevator, Paul remained in the conference room, whispering to Mary Ann. Elaine stood still by the credenza, staring at the red light on the recorder as if it were the first honest thing she had seen all morning. The elevator doors opened. Downstairs, Ashley Monroe sat at the reception desk with both hands folded in her lap. She had erased the message on her phone, but not before sending it, not before creating a record with a timestamp. She kept seeing Vanessa's face in her mind, calm, unmoved, not because the words had not hurt, because hurt had not been allowed to drive. That frightened Ashley more than anger would have. When the elevator doors opened into the lobby, the whole room noticed. Vanessa stepped out first. Jonathan stepped beside her this time, not ahead, not behind. Nina came after them. Ashley stood up so fast her chair rolled back and struck the wall. Miss Carter, she said, voice breaking. I am sorry. Vanessa stopped. The lobby froze again. Same marble, same lilies, same people pretending they were not listening. Vanessa looked at Ashley. She saw panic. She saw self-preservation. She saw a young woman who had chosen cruelty because it gave her a small borrowed power. You should be, Vanessa said. Ashley's eyes filled. But Vanessa was not finished. Not because I have a title. Not because your CEO came downstairs. Because no one should have to prove they are important before being treated like a person. Ashley looked down. That sentence did what shouting could not. It found every witness in the room and gave them a share of the responsibility. The courier looked away first, then the intern, then the man with the visitor sticker. Vanessa walked toward the revolving door. Outside, Charlotte traffic moved like nothing had happened. But something had. A city contract had stopped. A company had been put on notice. And somewhere inside Summit Ridge, behind a locked office door, Mary Ann Whitmore was already reaching for a phone that did not go through the front desk. Vanessa did not go back to City Hall right away. She walked 2 blocks past it, crossed at the light, and stepped into a narrow diner on 7th Street where the booths were cracked. The coffee was too strong, and nobody cared what title followed your name. Rachel Bennett was already there. She sat in the back booth with a black coffee, 3 notebooks, and a pen tucked behind her ear. 45 years old, investigative reporter, former City Hall beat writer, the kind of woman who had learned to listen to what people avoided saying. She looked up as Vanessa slid into the booth. You said not for print, Rachel said. Not yet. That got Rachel's attention. Vanessa placed the navy folder on the table between them. The folder looked ordinary under the yellow diner light. Paper, staples, tabs, nothing dramatic. But Rachel had been doing this long enough to know that most public scandals did not arrive with shouting. They arrived in clean fonts. She opened it. Vanessa watched her read. Rachel's face barely moved. Her eyes did the work down the page. Back up. Appendix The Carter Civic LLC, Pemberton Road. Federal filing reference. Utilization percentage. Rachel tapped the address with her pen. This was yours 6 years ago. And you did not form this company? No. You did not invoice Summit Ridge? No. Rachel closed the folder slowly. This is not a receptionist story. No. This is vendor fraud. Vanessa looked out the window. A city bus hissed at the curb, its doors folding open. People stepped off carrying lunch bags, backpacks, tired faces. The kind of people who paid taxes and trusted, without thinking about it, that water lines got repaired because somebody honest was watching the money. Yes, Vanessa said, and it may be bigger than one bid. Rachel leaned back. How long do you have? The bid is on administrative hold. I can hold it for 30 days before council starts asking why. Then we have 30 days. Vanessa looked at her. We? Rachel opened the first notebook. You brought me a folder and said not yet. That means you want the truth before the headline. For the first time that day, Vanessa almost smiled. Good answer. By late afternoon, Rachel had filed the first public records request. City procurement files involving Summit Ridge. 5 years of minority subcontractor reports. The second request went to the North Carolina Secretary of State. Every entity registered under Carter Civic, every registered agent, every amendment, every mailing address. The third was not a request at all. It was a phone call to a county records clerk named Diane Lowe, who owed Rachel nothing but respected work done carefully. Diane, Rachel said, standing beside the diner pay station, because she still hated talking about sources on speaker. I need property and business cross-references tied to 2113 Pemberton Road. There was a pause on the line. That address come up in something ugly? Maybe. Then ask cleaner. Rachel closed her eyes. That was Diane's way of saying the line was not safe. I need public records only, Rachel said. Formation links, mail drops, deeds. Nothing sealed, nothing clever. Diane exhaled. Send it over. Vanessa listened from the booth. She understood the rhythm. Good investigations did not sprint. They moved like careful hands through broken glass. By Thursday morning, the first answer came back. Carter Civic LLC had been formed 3 years and 4 months earlier. Registered agent, a paralegal service in a strip mall outside Matthews. Mailing address, a post office box. Principal officer, Vanessa R. Carter. Vanessa's middle initial was L. Rachel read the document twice. Then she looked across the diner table. They did not even get your initial right. Vanessa's face did not change. They did not need to. Rachel nodded, grim, because no one was supposed to check. Vanessa touched the edge of the folder. Her fingers rested there, steady. No one did, she said, until Ashley told me not to read the board. The waitress came by with more coffee. She saw their faces and did not interrupt. She only filled both cups and moved on quietly, the small mercy of someone who knew when silence was service. Rachel flipped to a clean page. I need to ask you something hard. Ask. If this points back to Summit Ridge leadership, they will not just deny it. They will come after your judgment. Your job, maybe your daughter. They will say you are confused, angry, political, anything but correct. Vanessa looked down into the dark coffee she had not touched. For a moment, she was not the director of anything. She was a mother thinking of Emily's crooked ponytail, of school forms on the fridge, of the ordinary peace powerful people always underestimate. Then she looked up. They used my old address to win public work meant for real businesses, she said. Businesses owned by people who actually built something. If I walk away, I become part of the lie. Rachel held her gaze. Then she wrote one sentence at the top of the page. Follow the money. The money did not hide very well. That was the first thing Rachel said when she called Vanessa, just after 9 on Monday night. Vanessa was standing in her kitchen, still wearing her work blouse, one hand resting on the counter beside a cold cup of coffee she had poured that morning. Emily was upstairs doing homework with music playing softly through a closed door. The house smelled like reheated soup and lavender plug-in. "What did you find?" Vanessa asked. Rachel's voice was low, controlled, but there was heat under it. Quarterly invoices. Carter Civic builds Summit Ridge for civil engineering subcontractor services. 3 years of payments. Small enough to avoid attention. Large enough to matter. Vanessa closed her eyes. How much? Different amounts. Some under 50,000, some over 200,000. The refrigerator hummed. Vanessa opened her eyes again. Paid to the post office box? Yes. Then routed to another LLC in Mecklenburg County. Then out again to a company in Union County. Can you trace the third account? Not without subpoena power. Vanessa looked toward the stairs. Emily laughed at something on her phone. A normal sound. A child's sound. It made the kitchen feel suddenly fragile. Rachel continued. But here is the part that matters. Summit Ridge counted every one of those payments toward its minority subcontractor quota. Vanessa gripped the counter. That quota existed for a reason. It was meant to help real firms owned by people who had been shut out of public work for generations. Small engineering shops, family contractors, women who built businesses from kitchen tables and second mortgages, men who knew every pipe in their county but could never get past the gatekeepers. Summit Ridge had not just stolen Vanessa's old address. They had stolen access from people who needed it. Vanessa's voice went colder. How many contracts? Rachel's was quiet for a beat. 17 public contracts in 3 states that required participation thresholds. Carter Civic appears in the support materials for 11. Vanessa sat down at the kitchen table. Not because she was weak. Because the scale had changed. One fake company was fraud. A pattern across state lines was something else. This is bigger than Charlotte, Vanessa said. Yes, and bigger than me. Yes. Rachel's pen scratched faintly through the phone. She was writing even while speaking. She always wrote when she was angry. It kept her from speaking too fast. There is more, Rachel said. Vanessa did not answer. An internal email thread. Routine compliance disclosure. Your office requested it Friday, and someone at Summit Ridge must have pushed the wrong batch. Subject line was lobby protocol refresh. Vanessa's eyes shifted toward the dark kitchen window. What did it say? Front desk staff were instructed to redirect unscheduled visitors who appeared to be reviewing the directory board. Vanessa went still. Rachel read from her notes. Use discretion. Side entrance if appropriate. Escalate only after contact is confirmed. That sounds sanitized. It is. But Ashley replied to one of the messages. She wrote, handled ones this morning. Another one was eyeing the directory. Sent her out. Vanessa breathed out slowly. There it was, not feelings, not interpretation, a record. Who drafted the protocol? Vanessa asked. The email came from Jonathan Reed's assistant. Nina? Yes, but the attachment metadata shows the original author. Vanessa already knew before Rachel said it. Mary Ann Whitmore. The name sat in the kitchen like a third person. Upstairs, Emily's music stopped. A chair moved. Vanessa lowered her voice. When was the document created? 3 days after Carter Civic was registered. Vanessa looked at the table, at the grain of the wood, at the small scratch Emily had made years ago with a fork, and then tried to hide with a crayon. 3 days. A shell company appeared. Then a lobby protocol appeared. One created the bait, the other protected it. Rachel said, Vanessa, this was not just about treating people badly. They built a wall around the lie. Ashley was one brick in it. Vanessa felt anger rise, clean and focused. Not the kind that burns wild, the kind that lights a path. Can you publish? She asked. Not yet. We need a second source on the money and a witness on the protocol. I may have the first. Who? Elaine Foster. Compliance director. She looked scared in that room. Scared people talk when they realize silence will not save them. Vanessa rubbed her forehead. She has a mortgage. Maybe kids. Maybe a sick parent. People stay quiet for reasons that are not always cowardice. Rachel softened. I know. Vanessa stood and looked again toward the stairs. That was the human cost of corruption. It did not only steal money, it taught decent people to survive by looking away. And once enough people looked away, the lie became a building. Then we give her a safe door, Vanessa said. Rachel paused. That sounds like you. No, Vanessa said. That sounds like what should have been given to everyone before me. By the time the city council chamber filled that Tuesday afternoon, the story was no longer about a receptionist. It was about records, emails, wire transfers, a company that existed on paper, but nowhere in real life. Vanessa Carter sat at the witness table with the same navy folder under her hands. Across the room, Jonathan Reed looked older than he had a month before. Mary Ann Whitmore sat beside Summit Ridge's attorney, her pearl gray suit perfect, her face still enough to look carved. Ashley Monroe was called first. She walked to the microphone with a lawyer behind her and both hands shaking. The room watched her sit. Reporters lined the wall. City staff stood near the doors. In the back row, Rachel Bennett held her notebook open, pen ready. Ms. Monroe, Council Chair Harold Easton said, "Were you instructed to redirect certain visitors away from the main lobby?" Ashley closed her eyes once. "Yes, sir. By whom?" "A document from Ms. Whitmore's office, and follow-up texts from her assistant." Mary Ann did not move, but Jonathan did. Just a little. His shoulders dropped, as if some part of him had finally stopped pretending. Ashley's voice cracked. "We were told to use discretion. We were told certain people might be looking at the directory for the wrong reasons. I knew what that meant. I followed it anyway." The room was silent. No one laughed now. Then Elaine Foster testified. She brought the compliance file. She brought the document hold notice. She brought the metadata showing Mary Ann had authored the lobby protocol 3 days after Carter Civic LLC was formed. Then came Michael Parker, the former partner. He placed a sealed ethics complaint on the record, filed more than a year earlier. Same dates, same company, same payments. Then a forensic accountant showed the money trail. Carter Civic to one shell company, then another, then a law firm, then a political action committee. Not rumor, not anger. Documents. Finally, Vanessa stood. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. "My office was prepared to award a public infrastructure contract worth $180 million, she said. That contract would have touched water lines, roads, neighborhoods, and families who may never know the names in this room. Public money is public trust. Once that trust is sold, ordinary people pay the bill." She paused. Her eyes moved to Ashley for one brief second, and respect is part of that trust. Because corruption does not always begin with a forged signature. Sometimes it begins when a room decides some people are safe to ignore. The vote came after 4 hours. 6-1. Summit Ridge was barred from bidding on city contracts pending full investigation. The file was referred to the district attorney and the state ethics office. The water package was reopened for review. Real firms, actual firms, would be allowed back into the process. The gavel came down once. Sharp. Final. Mary Ann closed her eyes. Jonathan lowered his head. Vanessa did not celebrate. She only gathered her folder and walked out into the marble corridor, where the afternoon light fell through tall windows in quiet squares. 3 months later, indictments came. Not against everyone. Not as cleanly as people wanted. Real justice rarely arrives like thunder. It arrives in filings, hearings, resignations, returned money, and doors that stop opening for the wrong people. Summit Ridge collapsed under the weight of its own records. Vanessa resigned from the city before joining the restructuring team that took control of the tower. She did it properly. Public notice, ethics review, no shortcuts. She had spent her life believing process mattered, and victory did not change that. 4 months after Ashley told her to use the back entrance, Vanessa walked through the same revolving door again. The lilies were gone. The front desk was new. The directory had been replaced. The third line from the top now read Carter Civic Renewal Group. Not a shell, not a lie. A fund created to support small contractors who had been locked out for too long. The new receptionist stood. "Good morning, Miss Carter." Vanessa nodded. "Good morning." No one asked her why she belonged there. She thought of Emily, of the permission slip on the fridge, of the night she had sat at the kitchen table wondering how much truth might cost. Then she looked at the lobby, the marble, the doors, the people walking through them. The building had once told her to leave through the back. Now it opened because she had refused to disappear. And if you have ever been judged before you were known, if you have ever been sent away from a room you had every right to enter, remember this. Your dignity is not granted at a front desk. It is yours before you arrive. Tell your story. Someone else may need the courage it gives them.